You've done the starter jobs, the in-between jobs, the pro jobs, and this is what it comes down to. You're ready to take the reins of your career and set out on the ride of your life. So, you want to be an entrepreneur. This course, brought to you by YouAccel, will give you an introduction in how to master this exciting career choice. In this complete guide to successful entrepreneurship, you will learn: what is an entrepreneur? The mindset required to succeed as an entrepreneur. The skills needed to succeed as an entrepreneur. How to choose your entrepreneurship idea and test its viability. How to get started as an entrepreneur and go about securing funding. What the entrepreneurial pitfalls you should look out for are. And finally, we'll provide resources to get you started on your quest to succeed as an entrepreneur. The requirements you'll need for this course are a brave heart, dogged determination, absolute dedication, and a passionate vision. So go ahead and click the enroll button and let's get started on making you a successful entrepreneur.
Hi, I'm Matthew Rolnick, and I'm excited to work with YouAccel on this comprehensive guide to entrepreneurship. I consider myself an entrepreneur as well as an intrapreneur. I started my own marketing publishing company at the age of 21 and sold it before the age of 30. My wife and I rehab houses through a franchise called HomeVestors. We started in 2014. And I have worked in the corporate world for companies like Groupon and Tribune. I'm currently the vice president of sales of Yaymaker, where we've done over 300,000 events, whether they be in venue and now virtual online events. And I'm excited to be sharing my insights and experiences. It's very helpful as an entrepreneur to learn from others. I'm passionate to help others in the business community achieve their goals and pursue their entrepreneurial dreams. So I'm hoping the contributions that I share will help you improve on your steps and journey as an entrepreneur. Yes, I started in sales, and for a little over 4 years, I was the divisional sales manager of Groupon in the health, beauty, wellness, and fitness vertical. I had a great experience working with Groupon. It was wonderful to work with such a major brand that was really focused on helping small businesses. I think the most valuable skill I learned from Groupon was just how to be very adaptable. Things move very quickly. There's always pivoting. Business models continue to evolve and grow. So I'd say adaptability was probably the number one skill I learned working at Groupon. Yes, as of the end of April 2020, I accepted the role as Vice President of Sales at Yaymaker. Yaymaker started as a company called Paint Night in 2012, where they did a single event at a bar where they encouraged people to socialize and drink and have fun and all paint together. The company grew dramatically to over 1,400 cities throughout North America. They've done over 300,000 events, but after the pandemic hit, the business really halted. So they had to evolve and grow, and they started doing virtual events, and now starting to grow much further than just painting. Now they're able to offer cooking classes and fitness classes and beauty classes and games and trivia. And now they have entertainment like musicians and comedians. So my role is building an outbound sales team to help encourage more talent, more influence, more celebrities to join our platform and do live virtual events. Wow, it's tough to just put one achievement that I'd say, the most proud of. I started my own marketing and publishing company with two other partners in college, and that was very rewarding. When I first started sales, I remember starting with the Tribune, Orlando Sentinel, and winning Rookie of the Year first year, and then President's Club the next. That was very rewarding. I remember first working with Groupon and generating over 2 million in sales within my first 11 months. I remember being very passionate about that. But really, I've worked with thousands of businesses, and watching so many grow has been very rewarding. Managing other professionals and helping them get promoted was very rewarding. Forming a partnership with a company called Cameo, watching them really start to grow and seeing the potential what they're doing with celebrities and influencers, and then getting them on somebody like Groupon. There's tons of partnerships that I'm very proud of, but it's really hard to just put into one. Actually, even this new opportunity that I have at Yaymaker has been very exciting and rewarding. So I really can't put it into just one professional achievement. I would say in general, watching people grow, watching businesses grow has been the most satisfying for me. What's most important to me is really just to continue to grow and continue to innovate, and the people I work with to continue to grow and innovate. I'm excited working with Yaymaker, and anything that I do, my goals are to continue to create value. And in this case, I'm trying to continue to create unique, memorable, interactive, live experiences. And so those are my career goals, are really just to continue to improve, continue to grow, and continue to innovate. Well, I love playing with my 12-year-old daughter. Recently, we've been playing a lot of Just Dance. My wife and I like taking walks, and we do a little real estate together. And anytime we can do a date night, love that. I like playing soccer, and I also like weightlifting. I used to power lift. I'm actually currently training now for the Illinois State Bench Press meet. And so those are some of the things that I enjoy doing. I would describe an entrepreneur as someone with a dream, an idea, or a passion, and is willing to take action and not as concerned about the risks, but more about the opportunity. So I guess that's how I would define an entrepreneur. Boy, I would say having drive is very important for an entrepreneur. I think probably the most important quality is resiliency. Just because there's so many things, so many ups and downs when starting a business or starting a new project. So I would say resiliency and always trying to move forward is probably the most important quality of an entrepreneur. Knowing your own strengths and weaknesses, I think, is very important, because you need other people to help you on your journey and that can complement your strengths. So those are some of the qualities that I think are the most important in an entrepreneur. I think an entrepreneur needs a really strong mindset and not to take things personally. I think the best entrepreneurs seek out constructive criticism, and they want to learn how to improve. They're always trying to problem solve. They're always trying to be better. They're always trying to create value. But I think in general, you need a really strong mindset. As like I said previously, you need to be very resilient. You always have to figure out how to move forward and be better. I think failure is an essential part of being an entrepreneur, and it's how you deal with that failure. You always need to learn, and you always need to improve and take the lessons from that failure and how to make it better next time. So you hear situations or people like Abraham Lincoln, who lost elections time after time again, or Thomas Edison, who failed multiple times but just kept taking those learnings when he failed and how to improve on that. So I think having that strong mindset, being resilient, taking failures and looking at those as new opportunities to improve, I think that is the healthiest mindset and the best way to embrace failure. Being an entrepreneur, there's a lot more potential risk, there's a lot more potential reward. However, you can still be very entrepreneurial working for a company. I call that being an intrapreneur, where you share ideas and present new opportunities for that company to grow. You might not have the same decision making, but you can still be very entrepreneurial while working for a company. I definitely think entrepreneurs have to constantly step out of their comfort zones. Now, this can be a whole host of different things. This could be going to more networking events. This could be doing more public speaking. This could be learning a new program or course. I just think it's important for entrepreneurs to always have a pulse on what's new and what's happening in their industry or field, and pushing themselves and challenging themselves to learn in ways that maybe they haven't in the past, always getting different opinions, and always paying attention what's new, whether it be new social media platforms. But I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs that get comfort in what they know, and I think it's important that if they're going to continue to grow and evolve, they're going to always have to challenge themselves to step out of their comfort zone. So those who are interested in being an entrepreneur but have a low appetite for risk, I guess I'd advise a couple things. One is then start really small. If you have an idea, don't invest too much time or too much money. Start small, see if you can prove your concept that can work. And then two, I'd say team up with other people who may be a little more entrepreneurial, that have different skill set than you, that are willing to take on a little more risk. And so that would be my advice for somebody that wants to get into entrepreneurship but is a little more risk averse. I think entrepreneurs and leaders come in all different shapes, sizes, and forms. I believe some people do have some better natural leadership instincts, but I believe everybody can learn to be a better leader. So I think it's all about being authentic to who you are, really understanding the value that you bring, and really being just a very genuine, passionate about people, passionate about your project, and communicating effectively, and just being responsible on the things that you share that you plan on doing to follow through. But I do think there's lots of different skill sets that leaders can continue to grow and improve on, whether you're an extrovert or an introvert. I think leaderships and entrepreneurs can continue to evolve and grow and get better. Motivation is a very key element in the success of an entrepreneur. So I think it's very important for entrepreneurs to have a support system, to be always talking to people and employees that energize them, that give them ideas. Obviously, it's good to have devil's advocate to challenge you, but in general, I believe the lion's share of the people you talk to, at least 80%, you want them to bring positive energy and ideas to continue to motivate you. I think it's important to take breaks, and whether it's working out, whether it's reading, whether it's doing other things to make sure you're always recharging. But I think it's important to always stay motivated and understand really the people that motivate you, that help you get your best ideas. I think it's important to take some private time in the space where you feel you're the most creative or most inspired, and make sure you're always doing those things as well. But I would say, again, it's really about the people that inspire you. And I think it's important that the lion's share of your circle and the people you're talking to are people that bring out the best in you, not the worst in you. This is an interesting question, because I do think consistency is very critical in constantly improving. So Michael Jordan, LeBron James, the reason they've been the best of the best is because they're very consistent in their work ethic and working on the fundamentals and keep improving and just always being consistent. So I think work ethic is very important. And that's true with, I think, any athlete, any business, any musician. They have to be very consistent, and at least the efforts that they put in to be very successful. However, I say that with caution, because I think it's very important to also be adaptable. So you may have been very consistent in certain areas, but then all of a sudden, if you're not getting the results you're looking for, you have to pivot and then start working hard in other areas. So the word consistency, I'm just cautious with. I think you always want to be working hard, putting the time, the effort, the energy, the ideas, but what you're working on can constantly change. So obviously I believe in advertising and marketing, and a lot of times you have to spend money to get the word out. But I do think there are many ways that businesses can get the word out very cost effectively. So you hear about word of mouth, and what exactly is that word of mouth? I'd encourage your employees to be more ambassadors for your company, encourage them to have more voice, not be shy to share more stuff on social media, have more type of referral internal programs. And same thing with your clients or customers. Recognize them for shouting out your business again, or sharing it on social media. So I do believe there are plenty of ways to gamify things, to recognize people, employees or customers, to help get that word out. So those would be some things that I would encourage that wouldn't break the bank. That kind of free word of mouth that you can get internal evangelists from your own employees or customers. I look at this in a couple different ways. Logically, when you're looking at a good business idea, I think you study the landscape of the competitors, what the market opportunity is, looking at a time frame when you can execute. Is it feasible? I think there's lots of questions logically you can look at and really map out, like, where do you think this will be 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, a year, 2 years, 10 years. I think just mapping that out and kind of putting a business plan can help think about what is a good business idea. But I also think it has to do, again, when it comes to passion, and it doesn't have to be necessarily that unique. If you think you make better hot dogs than anybody else, or you've got some secret ingredients or a different way to market it or things like that, if you're excited about something, I think there's energy, and you can start slowly sampling others on, do they like your product or service, and that can snowball. So I think an idea comes from kind of your heart or passion, and where you see there's a value or a need, and if you feel strong on it, then I say pursue that idea. I think it really depends. I think the most important thing is just doing your homework with any market. Whenever you enter any type of market, I think it's just important that you understand as many nuances as possible. So the more you do your research, the more prepared you are, I think the better chance you have to succeed. I've learned there's a big difference between what people say they will buy versus actually buy. And just reaching out to friends and family about ideas that you have, it may be biased. Some may be rooting for you, some may not. You might not get the real feedback. If you have a product or a service that you want to do, I would really try to get a diverse opinions of different people that you know and don't know, and get that honest feedback. So that's what I would try to do if I had a first idea or product that I wanted to start. This is challenging because every business opportunity and every idea is so different. So I do believe there's some ideas that you either need to go big or go home. If you're not the market leader and you don't make a big splash or presence, it's hard to get that traction. There's other ideas that I think you can start small. So I usually encourage, really focusing on a specific market or a specific niche. So you could just blast it in your local neighborhood, or in any type of Google AdWords or Facebook ads, or any marketing that you do, you can just target just your local neighborhood and have that ability to be very grassroots, to work with local businesses or the community to help promote it. I think if you can't make it work within your local community, it could be tougher to expand it to other markets. So again, every business idea is so different, but anyway, that would be my general advice. I think anytime that you can do interviews, focus groups, any type of information that you can gather can always be valuable. But I still believe there's a big difference between what people say they will pay for and what they actually pay for. So as I said, that's just one piece of information that I would use to help improve your product, your service, your ideas, or even your own marketing, and what resonates with potential customers. So I always recommend focus groups. I always recommend talking with other people, but until you actually put your product or service on the market, you really won't know. When starting a business, I always think it's a good idea to have a very good business attorney, a very good business accountant. However, I wouldn't necessarily incorporate unless you know that this is something that's really going to grow. So a lot of people want to start a business and it's more of a hobby and it really doesn't take off the ground. You might want to set your own threshold on, hey, until I do $5,000 in sales or some number that you know you're going to take this seriously. And once you hit that point, then I would study and read the advantage of being an S Corp or an C Corp or LLC, or which is a limited liability company. I see a lot of entrepreneurs that choose that route. I think it has a lot of flexibility and gives people protection. But again, I would talk to a good real estate attorney and I would make sure that this is something that you're going to do that is more than just a hobby, and then think about the other people involved. Are you running the whole show, or are you involving partners? So I would take all those considerations before what direction and how to incorporate. I do think a business plan can be very beneficial, at least giving you some groundwork and a plan on how your business can grow. However, I've seen numerous times business plans go out the window and are constantly changing, where a business wants to go in this direction, but they find out, hey, consumers prefer this more, and they go in an entirely different direction. But again, at least putting together a business plan to understand, describe what your product or service is, the market size, the potential, the differentiator that you have versus other competitors, and understanding the competitive landscape, the potential pitfalls, doing something called the SWOT analysis, I think is very helpful. However, I think investors really want to see that commitment and dedication that you're going to bring. I think, entrepreneurs that have a lot of conviction in their idea and kind of this I'm going to make it happen mentality, I think investors really see that. Going back to what I said about resiliency, I think is very important. But again, I do recommend a business plan. But as I said, I would use that as just a guide and be prepared that that business plan may change or evolve many times. I am an enormous fan of networking. I consider myself a super networker, a super connector. I have over 5,500 LinkedIn followers. LinkedIn is one way to network that I really enjoy, by joining groups, by engaging and posting content. Asking for money can definitely be challenging or daunting. Ideally, you have a little bit of your own capital that you can invest in and you can prove the concept. But if you need more investment or more capital to grow your business, there's several different routes. You can obviously put a Kickstarter campaign, and that's one that I've seen people do and very successful with that. A lot of people do start with family and friends. That can get complicated because once a family or friend member invests in you, it just makes that relationship just a little more challenging. So I would make sure that if you do get any investment for friends or family, that they know going in exactly what you want to accomplish. You have a very open dialogue, somebody obviously that you trust and understands, the worst case, the best case, the most likely case that you can put together, and how that communication would be, making it clear that they understand when they could get their money back. But those are some options. You might also want to reach out to your network or people you know about other investors, and anybody else that you've worked with that they trust. I do believe that it's important to have a great communication and trust, whether it's people that you hire, whether it's partners and investors. I've had many people that I've worked with that have had investors that they weren't aligned with philosophically, and it can cause complications later. So anyway, all that I'd recommend is whoever invests in you, as you approach people, be very direct, be very open, share what you're trying to do. Don't oversell. Just again, share the opportunity and your commitment to it, and making sure that your investor is also your partner that you're philosophically aligned with. I'm a believer in, again, reaching out to your network if they know of any angel investors. in talking to others. And the more conversations you have, more potential opportunities may present itself. There are definitely organizations. I've worked with organizations called SCORE that do give free consulting for small businesses. So if you're an entrepreneur just starting off, there are organizations that will give free consulting. And again, I'm always a believer in your own network, like a LinkedIn, to just post that you're looking for angel investors or advisors or someone to kind of help you with your business. If you can bring people in that share your passion and want to help, new opportunities can definitely arise. I recommend building a relationship with a local community bank. Local community banks tend to be more open, more flexible. If you build that relationship, you share your business plan, you meet the branch manager, and you share your journey as an entrepreneur, that I believe is generally the best route on working with banks. I personally have not gone the route of a government grant, but I know there's several options out there. It really does depend on what your industry is, what your business is. For any minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, there could be other opportunities as well to look into. So I would just do your research on that. I would ask your network on that. But I personally have not had experience working with government grants. I don't believe it's a horrible investment to work with family members. But again, it can be complicated, and you really want to make sure that family member has that money. So if they do lose it, they're still in a fine position and they understand exactly what you're trying to accomplish and how you plan on going there. So I think communication is very important, but I have seen people with strong family connections that have been supportive with their business. So, but that is a very personal decision, and it can be a very complicated decision. So I would just be cautious with eyes wide open. There have been many successful companies that started with like a Kickstarter campaign. Things like the coolest cooler or the fidget cube, or there's a travel jacket. So I've seen several that have really done exceptionally well using crowdfunding to raise money. I've also had friends or people I know that had a goal with crowdfunding and just fell a little short. And so it didn't work, but I do think it's a very viable option that continues to grow, and I definitely recommend looking into it. If I had to name 5 pitfalls, I would say one would be make sure your idea is very unique and marketable enough. I've seen too many entrepreneurs think they have something special, and it turns out people don't want to pay for it, or it's not as unique as they thought. 2, I would say make sure, again, you're working with the right people and that you're aligned in what you're trying to accomplish, because I've seen too many situations where people aren't aligned and it goes south. 3, I would make sure you have enough capital, because most people underestimate how much capital they need at a certain time. 4, I would look at the time. I think most people underestimate how much time needs to be involved to execute a plan. So I've seen many times it takes twice as long as they expected. And 5, I would say just having a plan to manage the growth, because if you do get a lot of interest or orders, you want to be sure you're prepared for that demand. So I would say those would be 5 pitfalls that I see are common with entrepreneurs. When starting a business, it can be overwhelming. You can get so consumed in what you're doing, you could literally sit at your desk or be on the phone literally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I think it's very important to have structured time to take breaks. So again, if you like reading, if you like playing tennis, if you like talking with friends, having a date night, whatever it is, all that I recommend is literally planning out what's most important to you, structure those times, and make sure that you treat those times almost as like a business meeting. I believe it's very important to have those structured times. And I think not just to take a break from, your business, but also I think it can re-energize you and refresh you, recharge you to have better ideas and even attack your work even better. I believe the more you do something, the easier it gets. So the more you ask people to pay you for your services, I think the better it will get. I also like the strategy of, if you were your own best friend, what advice would you give you? And I would guess your own best friend would tell you, hey, don't be shy about it. You performed a great service, and you should not feel uncomfortable on asking for money if that's the service you provided. So again, I would just be a little more assertive, take that deep breath, and simply just say, hey, I did this for you. If you can pay within net 30 days, or if you can pay by this date, I would be very directive to an asking, and just not be all wishy-washy, like, oh, I hope I'm not inconveniencing you. No, you provided a service. Be confident you deserve to be paid, and just to be more directive, speak with a little more conviction. And I said, the more you practice it, the better it will get. I don't believe being an introvert will hurt your opportunities to succeed as an entrepreneur, get more sales. It may be a little tougher, and you may have to structure it so it's like, I have to allocate this time to try to proactively generate new business. But it is true. The more you practice, the better you'll get at it. I have seen many introverts be highly successful just because they continue to try to improve and push in it. And so Abraham Lincoln, I share as an example. I mean, he was naturally introverted, but continued to practice his public speaking and writing and growing from that standpoint. So just push yourself to keep getting out there more, to do more sales, more marketing, or hire somebody or partner with somebody that can help you with that as well. But I definitely believe that being an introvert does not have to be a hindrance, as long as you're making the right efforts to proactively market yourself and your business. Yeah, things can be isolating when you have your own business and it's mostly just you. I just recommend, again, scheduling, planning an active social life as well. I mean, at least you have things socially that you're looking more forward to. Having calls, grabbing coffee with other people that you think can help you with ideas with your business, you can always incorporate that as well. Sharing office space with somebody is maybe another option, but I would think of things that are socially that are most exciting for you that you would look forward to. Make sure you schedule those. Make sure you take breaks, call up friends, family members, things like that. But you just have to balance that the best you can. I would definitely say Google and Facebook are two excellent platforms to advertise your business. But I'd always look at the numbers to see how much you're spending in advertising, how much you're getting back. I'd also constantly be looking at other channels as well. I mean, social media wise, I would look at Instagram and Snapchat. Hey, if you're ever interested in a live event at Yaymaker, where I work, I think there can be some very unique opportunities as well. But I definitely think Google and Facebook are excellent. I think that LinkedIn can be powerful too. So I think there's lots of options. But again, I'd always analyze how much you're spending and always trying to look at an ROI as well. There are many routes you can start your own business. And then most people, friends and family, really may encourage or push you the 9 to 5. One thing I've seen several successful entrepreneurs do is they have their 9 to 5, but then weekends and nights, they focus on starting their own business, and they prove their business concept that way. So you can start small and you can grow. And once they see your successes, I think you might see they'll start turn around a little bit. So anyway, that would be probably my best recommendation, is have that security of your 9 to 5, then weekends and nights, focus on a side project that you think has a lot of potential that you're passionate about, consistently grow that. And then once it gets to a point where it starts really building traction, then you can explore other options. Do you want to take that leap of faith of taking and doing that full time?